So this week's Parashah is Vayishlach, which is my favorite Parashah because it is my bar mitzvah portion, and I have been waiting a long time for this, so this one is gonna be good! So specifically what I'm going to be talking about is when Yaakov wrestles with God. So when Yaakov was wrestling with God, he held on with incredible persistence, and he would not let go until God blessed him. And when God renames Yaakov, that acknowledges his persistence, because his name is Yisrael, which comes from the root Yisar and El meaning God, and Yisar meaning to struggle with or to wrestle, that kind of thing. And if I can jump from the Torah to the apocalyptic scriptures, in James 1:3, it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance." Which leads me back to Yaakov. Yaakov was humbled by God before he was blessed by God. He said, "I have seen the face of God and lived," which is a pretty humbling experience. This actually reminded me of Horatio Spafford, a lawyer in the early 1900s who lost everything he had in the Chicago fire. He sent his wife and daughters on a ship headed to England, and on the way, the ship hit another and sank. His wife was the only one that survived. She was actually picked up when she was unconscious by a rescue boat. Her telegram to her husband to let him know that she was okay, saved alone. And when his boat that was taking him to England passed over the spot where the wreck had occurred and all his children had died, he wrote the hymn, "It is well with my soul." Wow. But it doesn't end there. His church had regarded everything that happened to him as divine punishment. So he decided to leave it and formed his own sect, which he called, unbelievably enough, Messianics. Remember, this was the early 1900s, Mishlachim, or in Hebrew. So he went out to Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem, he set up soup kitchens, orphanages, hospitals, hotels, and he gave a lot, I'm talking a lot of money for tzedakah. And the hotel continues to run to this day. There is the Horatio Spafford Hotel in Jerusalem. Whoa! So anyway, God had greatly humbled him by taking away everything he had. Literally everything. Did I mention that after the shipwreck, he and his wife had a couple more kids and all but one died when they were really young? But God ultimately used him through that stuff to bless many, 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 many people. Which of course reminds me of Job. Because he had everything. But his power, his wealth, his prestige, his family were all taken away in a poof, in one day. And Job never knew why he was going through all this. God never told him. But he was humble and didn't question God and assume that God knew what he was doing, which God did. And through that, God has used him mightily. And we still talk about him today. And finally, for Yaakov's entire life, he's been struggling to get God's blessing. And because I've covered this before, you know what I'm going to say next. When they were fighting in the womb, when they were fighting as they were coming out of the womb, when Yaakov sold Esau the bowl of soup, when Yaakov tricked his father into giving him the blessing. His entire life, Yaakov's been going after the blessing from God. And he finally gets it. Because of his persistence and perseverance through the wrestling match, and by extension his entire life, God finally gives him what he's been persevering for. And so a way we can apply this parashah in our lives is, number one, as I've said in the previous Messianic Mondays, that if we truly desire something of God, then we need to have persistence and patience and perseverance to get it. We should wrestle for it. And number two, humbling comes before greatness. Timothy Keller told this really good story of this man who was telling this pastor about this new preacher that was all over the place. He was extremely strong in the word, and he had fire and passion, and he was big. He was going big time. He was going to all these places, Washington D.C. and all Los Angeles, Las Vegas, all these places, and really preaching the word and getting people fired up. And the pastor asked him one simple question. Has he been humbled yet? So basically, this entire episode can be summed up in 8 simple words. Persistence and perseverance, and humbling comes before greatness. That's 7. I is good at maths. I can count to potato. Here's a quick little joke. What was the Shy Pebble's wish? That she could just be a little bolder. A little bolder, get it? Oh, that's so cute! Okay, sorry, I'll calm down. But dang, that's cute!